My name is Emer Neville. I'm a sixth year student and the Communications Officer of the Irish Second Level Students' Union. Today I'm joined by public health specialists of the HSE, Dr. Abigail Collins and Dr. Kevin Kelleher, who have been involved with the schools and the public health advice for over the last year. So thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Kevin Kelleher and Dr. Abigail Collins. So the first question we have for you guys today is, what do students need to be aware of in terms of public health advice?
I think it is important that people realise all those messages that you've been following are still very important. So it is about, even when you're outside, keeping 2 meters, the hygiene, not touching, all of those things, and trying to keep your hands clean and things of that nature. They are still vitally important. And they're particularly important because what we're trying to do is protect you so you can have your education in school, which is the best place for it to be. And as we get closer to the end of this May and into June, we want to protect the system, the environment for those people who are going to, those of you who are going to be doing their Leaving Cert in early June. So what we're trying to do is to make sure we really have got everybody in the perfect position from their health point of view at the end of May going into June, so they are ready to take the Leaving Cert. And it's taken all those bits in point. It is difficult, but it really is important to bear in mind all those messages we gave: the social distancing, the hygiene, and the cough etiquette. They are very, very important.
So Leaving Cert is a time where students are having their graduations, they're leaving school. Is there any leeway in the guidelines for students to have those final celebrations?
Unfortunately not. One of the really unfortunate things is COVID-19 doesn't care if it's an important day, if it's the end of your school career, if it's the end of your exams, whether it's your 18th birthday. And that's been one of the really hard, unfortunate and painful parts of the whole year for so many people. But it's definitely coming around to being really unfortunate for Leaving Cert students. But no, COVID-19 spreads if people are close together, if people are congregating, and particularly if it's in an uncontrolled setting. So unfortunately, there really isn't any leeway for that. And I suppose the important thing just to keep remembering is if you have gatherings and if there is anyone who has COVID-19 and it's spread and people are designated as close contacts whilst the exams are going on, anyone who is a close contact will not be able to sit their exams, nor will anyone who's got any symptoms of COVID-19. So it's really important to protect yourselves and to protect your friends and your school and classmates just in this final run up. So unfortunately, no big days, no big celebrations, no big congregate settings, because COVID-19 doesn't like to share those occasions very well.
Are there any specific activities that students should be aware of during this time?
I think what we want people to do is to have the opportunity to be outside, but to do it in, as we've said, a safe way. And it is outside. Meeting indoors is very problematic when you're doing it in an uncontrolled way. The reason that we can have people indoors in school is, as you know, it's very controlled. It is very controlled. When it's not controlled, that's when we have the difficulties indoors. So we particularly don't want people to be meeting indoors, even from in a sense, the pods you're in school or things of that nature. When you're in uncontrolled indoor scenarios, that's problematic. It's even more so if you're mixing with people from other schools which you don't normally mix with. Being outside, the 2 meters still is important. Okay, it's better being outside, but the 2 meters is still important. And likewise, making sure that you do follow the hygiene things, keeping things clear, and particularly have the cough. I think the other very important thing is not to go into school and not to meet with friends if you've got symptoms. One of the things we've most learned over the last year, 15 months, 18 months almost, is that people spread the disease because they do meet people, do go to work, do go to school when they've got symptoms. And that is a real problem. So if you've got the symptoms, no matter how important you think it may be to go into school, please don't, because it will cause difficulties potentially as a consequence.
So finally, the last question is, do you have any advice for young people as they start to do this and to gradually meet up outside, but also doing this in a safe way?
So yeah, that's a really good question, Emer. And obviously we know it's important for people to meet up, and we want them to meet up as soon as they can and as safely as they can. I mean, the public health guidance really is what's important. So the national guidance on how many can meet and who and where is what needs to be followed. And as Dr. Kelleher already outlined, you know, what's allowed to happen in school within the controlled environment is different. So just because larger groups are mixing in school doesn't mean that that's okay to mix out of school in those same large groups. So it is just slowly following the national guidance, as we're all allowed to meet more. That includes teenagers. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean that you can jump to that step a little bit earlier. But what is really important as we start to go out and meet people more, or even go as retail opens and people avail of that, is to make sure that we're really thinking about COVID-19 and the impact that it could have on ourselves and on others, and what we need to stop that. And the run up to the Leaving Cert exams, even if you're tempted to get together with friends to study in the ways that students normally would do, to make sure everyone can be in school for their teaching and for their friendships as much as possible.
Thank you so much. Those really cleared up a lot of questions that students have had, and I'm sure it'll be extremely beneficial for students as we move forward throughout the school year. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Abigail Collins and Dr. Kevin Kelleher.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emer.